Am I the asshole for not giving the dollhouse I built to my niece, but to my wife as a gift? It's not a dollhouse, but I didn't want anyone to think I was being misleading on purpose by saying I built a house. I, 28M, made my wife, 28 female, a replica of a house that's known to fans of a musician, but wouldn't mean much to others. It's about 2 feet tall and wasn't very complicated to build, but my wife had said a few times over last year that she thought it would be cool to have for little trinkets. She's like a crow with her trinkets, I love it. She didn't know I was making it for her, but I did sneakily involve her in its creation through having her make a couple TikToks when we were out together so I could get the colors right. She has no idea, lol. I was excited, so I showed a picture to my brother. He told me it was cool, but didn't get the purpose. He showed it to my niece Ava, 13 female, who knew what it was and said she wanted one too. My brother asked if I would give it to Ava for her birthday. I said no, it's for my wife, but I could make one with Ava. It would help teach her some basic woodworking skills which they don't do in schools here anymore. I'd like that. Brother said if it was so easy then I could make a second one for my wife and just give this one to Ava since her b-day is the end of the month. Again I said no, this was done specifically for my wife. He seemed to accept that but then came back to me and said, isn't it a little weird to make a dollhouse for an adult woman? I told him it's not a dollhouse, just a fancy shelf. He argued that makes it worse, because Ava would actually play with it. He must have gone to complain to mom about it. He is the younger brother, because mom called me to tell me that it was stupid to give my wife a dollhouse. I tried to explain that it's not a dollhouse but she just kept saying, that's stupid. This weekend I was at their house and Ava kept bringing up the house and laying it on thick with statements like, I've always wanted one just like it. She kept asking why my wife wanted a dollhouse. I said it's not a dollhouse, but she kept asking why she needed a dollhouse. I told my brother that he was encouraging his kid to be manipulative and I really didn't like it, so I was going to leave. He told me that I was dangling the house over her head like McDonald's and teasing her and that it made me a bad uncle. Being a good uncle is important to me and I do feel for the girl because she's a big fan too. I admit I have a blind spot for this because I don't have kids and maybe I shouldn't have shared the picture with my brother to begin with. Am I really the asshole for not just giving it to her? Yes, it was easy to make and I could make another quickly. Sorry guys, Ava isn't my brother's biological daughter. There's a long story involved that I didn't want to add but I should have realized the age would be surprising. I still see her as my niece regardless but I get why that would be alarming. Nothing bad happened or anything. I'm guessing the dollhouse is a replica of the lover house? If it's anything like I'm imagining or what I've seen online, it is more like a fancy storage display for her Taylor Swift memorabilia rather than a toy anyway. Not the asshole in either case, op. It's your creation that you get to gift to whoever you want. Pay the lover house trinket shelf tax please, I want to see it. Not the asshole by far. Not the asshole, very clearly. Because Ava would actually play with it. Also I really doubt that Ava would use that house to play with her dolls in it. She is 13. At that age girls generally don't play with dolls anymore. I do feel for the girl because she's a big fan too. And that is the real reason why she wants the house. She is the fan of the same musician as OP's wife. She is just using the dollhouse argument and that she wants to play with it to manipulate OP and because her father and grandmother use that argument, too. I wouldn't be surprised if your brother told Ava, of course you can have it. Not the asshole. Your brother is being weirdly entitled and he's encouraged Ava to act like a nuisance about it too. Your solution to make one with your niece sounded like a really nice idea. At this rate, I wouldn't be willing to help her make one or make one for her at all. This is ridiculous behavior from your brother, and now his daughter is being influenced. Unacceptable. Do not cave in on this. Is it the folklore cabin or the lover house? I hope your wife loves it? Am I the asshole for gossiping with my mom about my brother's fiancé as potentially lying about giving birth? I, 22 female, have an older brother, John chapter 32 male, who has been with his fiancée, Jane 30 female, for 4 years. They have a 4-month-old. Jane found out she was pregnant at 5.5 weeks and immediately called my mom to tell her. Mom was confused, but still very excited. Jane said she was going to tell John when he got back from his work trip. A few hours later, she called again, sobbing, saying she has insatiable cravings. Mom made a joke like, isn't it a bit early for cravings? And Jane went off on her. She started yelling about how this was her pregnancy and no one else's. It was an odd reaction. She also apologized for her outburst by blaming it on hormones. When my brother returned from his trip, him and Jane left to stay at her mother's and we didn't see her until after the baby was born. John said this was because Jane was afraid of losing the pregnancy and wanted to be with her mom and we needed to respect boundaries. Whenever someone would ask about Jane or the baby, They would shut it down with vague answers like, every pregnancy is different, or, she's carrying small, which isn't unusual. They barely shared anything about the pregnancy. No ultrasound pictures, no baby shower, and Jane didn't want anyone around during the delivery. I also discovered that every craving she listed came from one article about pregnancy cravings. She even listed multiple items in the same order as the article. When the baby was born, we were finally allowed to see Jane and John, and baby of course. It was very bittersweet as we all wished we could have been there for Jane to help out, but Jane and John both reassured us that we did help out by staying away during the pregnancy. The weirdest part though, is how Jane describes the birth. She claims she had an epidural via IV drip into her hand, edited because I didn't elaborate, which is not how those are administered. When I asked clarifying questions, thinking she had gotten confused, which is understandable, she shut down and refused to answer, like how she would during the pregnancy. She said the baby had latching issues because he was born with no umbilical cord stump. This can technically happen, but it's a rare and fatal medical condition that their baby does not have. The final straw was when she told us that the baby basically fell out of her within an hour of being in labor, despite my brother telling us how hard the birth was, and even stating that was why they weren't going to try for any more kids. Mum is on the same side as me, and has been noting these inconsistencies and inaccuracies but doesn't know how to bring it up. And their reactions don't help. A few days ago, my brother texted Mum saying her doubt of Jane is disrespectful and they both want full apologies from the both of us for bullying Jane about her pregnancy, labor. I haven't made any outright accusations about it, nor have I said any of this to Jane. I've only asked questions when she brings the pregnancy up. Am I the asshole for having doubts? The reality is that nothing much adds up, but there is one reality you can buy into. Your brother and his fiancée have a baby that is theirs. You can remain out of their lives forever or let your obsession go and enjoy your niece, nephew. Your choice, but you would be an asshole if you chose option 1. This sounds like a really old school adoption story. I'm not sure about this one. There are a few options. Maybe they adopted, used a surrogate and didn't want to tell you. Maybe she is riddled with Munchausens and the whole story is extra and not true. Or maybe she is telling the truth. At the end of the day you know the baby, their baby, is here and real. I wouldn't focus on the ifs, but on the new addition to your family. You are the asshole. Sounds like they adopted a baby but are too scared to tell you, but not afraid to tell her side of the family, because you might judge them. Welcome the baby and stop being nosy. It's really none of your business. I mean, the baby is real. You all have seen it. But it's very strange for them to lying about all these things. There doesn't really appear to be any moral quandary though. Not quite sure why you're here. Not the asshole for questioning her pregnancy given their cagey answers, but is it possible that she has fertility issues they didn't wish to discuss and they adopted? If so, it might be best to let it go, apologize and help them love on the baby. Am I the asshole for hiding my expensive shampoo and conditioner from my friend's guest? I, 28F, share an apartment with my friend, 34M. Last weekend, while we were away, he invited his female friend, Sarah, to stay over. When we got back, I noticed she had used most of my shampoo and conditioner without asking. I had splurged on these expensive products to treat myself. I also make a lot less money than my friend. Today, Sarah came over again for a visit and asked to shower at ours before heading to a dance class. However, I had taken my expensive products to my room this time, leaving only my friend's basic shampoo out for her to use. When she couldn't find the conditioner, she asked my friend, who came to my room to ask me about it. I told him that she's his guest, and it's not my responsibility to provide spa products for her. My friend got mad and thinks I'm rude and petty. Am I the asshole? Ask your roommate how much the products cost. Laugh in his face when he thinks it's like men's shampoo that's $5. I say this as a man. Not the asshole. Also, I get having a quick shower to freshen up, but who does a whole shampoo and condition before going to a dance class that's just going to drop a bunch of sweat into their hair anyway? Not the asshole X2. Not the asshole. She's his guest, she shouldn't be using your expensive products, and he certainly shouldn't be expecting you to provide them for her. If she wants to use the good stuff at your place, he should pay for it, or better yet she should shower at her own place. Not the asshole. How does someone use all of a product like shampoo and conditioner? How much did she use? She's not your guest and not entitled to your stuff. That's the end of it. Not the asshole, to use most of someone else's product? Nope. Tell him what you buy and let him buy done to keep on hand. Or if she is going to be a regular guest, she can keep a caddy of her own products for use. She showered at theirs to purposely use her products. Seems weird though. I don't shower at my friend's house. Not the asshole. My friend got mad and thinks I'm rude and petty. What is rude is using other people's stuff without permission. Why can't he let his guest use his conditioner? Am I the asshole for no longer updating my ex on our child's school stuff? I split up with my ex almost 2 years ago. My child started school the same year. My ex was never too involved in our child's educational needs even when she was a toddler. I handled it all myself. My child's school offers multiple apps and websites. You can be up to date with everything without ever having to contact anyone. I asked my ex repeatedly to get at least the main apps, so that I don't have to keep reminding him of important dates and our child's progress. He didn't care. Just a few examples. Whenever I asked to make a plan for any school break, he'd ask when the school break is. I sent him links to the school website, but he couldn't even be bothered to save a screenshot, make a note of the dates, etc., so he'd ask again next time around too. He couldn't be bothered to update his phone number in the school records, so the office couldn't contact him during an emergency. I informed him about all parent-teacher meetings. He said he couldn't make it, and that it made sense for me to go because he didn't know the teachers. Even in September, when neither of us knew the new teachers. Side note. He doesn't work, I do, so I thought it was logical to have him attend, so I wouldn't have to take time off work to do so. I'd send him any important date school plays, any shows, sports events, etc. He'd pick and choose the ones not involving much interaction. Reading together on the World Book Day was a no-go, but watching the kids race was okay, etc. I'd even invite him to events organized by any clubs my kids is in, clubs I organized and paid for myself. But he always had an excuse unless the events fell on his weekends. Even then he'd sometimes ask me to swap the weekends. I accepted it for over a year for the sake of peace. I wanted my kid to see her dad support her achievements too. But it's been so long and I'm just tired of having to both handle the responsibility and remember to give him updates about it. It also felt like I was trying to make him involved when he clearly wasn't interested. So last autumn I announced to him that it was on him to stay up to date with our child's school stuff. I gave him 2 weeks to get everything sorted. I even listed all the important apps, websites so he wouldn't miss anything. The only one I didn't share was a payment portal, as I knew he wouldn't care about that one. I promised to still share any information passed via written notes, letters, etc., as obviously he would not have access to those otherwise. I followed through with it. It took him 2 months to realize what's happened and now he's furious, saying that I'm using the child against him. He got his family involved and now they're all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the asshole for doing it to him and our child. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff, so she knows it's not that hard and I'm being dramatic. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. He's your ex, not your partner, so his mom's argument doesn't stand. Just because she puts up with useless partners, you don't have to do the same. Exactly what are you doing to him? You're not keeping him from any information, you're not locking him out. You gave him all the access he needs to find the information himself. The only thing you did was help him. Repeatedly. Send that to your ex-family and tell them to leave you alone or block them. If he can't be bothered to be involved, that's not on you. With this much weaponized incompetence, he's lucky to hold a job. Does he ask his boss to read out his emails for him and manage his calendar as well, or is he suddenly capable of normal adulting when it doesn't concern you? Not the asshole, as his mom pointed out, it's not that hard so he can do it himself. You're not the asshole. He doesn't care enough about his own child to make the effort to be involved. He got his family involved and now they're all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the asshole. Block them. That lazy asshole spent more effort whining to his family than he spent trying to be involved in his daughter's life. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff. Tell her that her 1950s attitude and her husband's laziness raised her son to be a lazy, disinterested father. Then block her. Not the asshole. Managing a child's education is definitely a tag team effort. And it sounds like you've been the solo champion for way too long. It's 2025, not the Stone Age. He can definitely use an app or two to keep up. You've given him all the tools he needs to stay informed, it's on him to use them. His reaction sounds like a classic case of mad because he got called out. Stick to your guns. You're not the school's personal secretary, and it's totally fair to expect him to take some initiative. Maybe this wake-up call will encourage him to step up, finally. Keep focusing on what's best for your kid, and let him figure out his app passwords. Not the asshole, and tell your ex-mill that it's not about whether it's hard or not, it's about the fact that it's not your job to manage his life anymore. You aren't together anymore for a reason, so he shouldn't be reliant on you for things like this. Not the asshole. He got his family involved and now they're all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the asshole for doing it to him and our child. NLCOK alt your numbers. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff. Answer her. Her raising him that way is likely one of the main reasons your kid's dad is a deadbeat and a failure as a parent. So she knows it's not that hard and I'm being dramatic. If it is not hard, why is he dramatic instead of doing it? And you are doing all of it yourself. Tell them. The information is there. He can come to any event and meeting he wants and get his informations first-hand from the teachers. You are not his secretary.